All right, well, good morning to those of you that have arrived on time. I'm we'll just go through what I said was the agenda on the email I sent, which is doing a site layout and plot plan creation. Doing some minor scripting sequences so you can learn how to stretch time or cut and paste a scene that you've already done into another show. And then we'll do a rack layout, which leads into the addressing schemes. And I know addressing was one of the questions asked before the show producer meeting. I believe I was given an hour in the show producer meeting, and I chewed that up quickly and started talking really rapidly. So I'm going to be deliberate to maintain a slower pace. If I use hotkeys, I will tell you I'm using a hotkey. And I will be very specific that I'm using a hotkey and tell you what it does, and just take a note. Again, this is recording, so I'll share it. I'll probably put it on YouTube and share it. But the fact is, the matter for me is that the things I've learned with hotkeys, I actually don't necessarily know where they are in the drop down menus. The end will be and ask me anything. So if I went over stuff that, or if there's topics that you want to ask about that I didn't go over, that'll be a time to ask. That'll be in addition to what we're going through. I'll stop and take questions at each sort of breaking point of these agenda items. So before I move on to the next agenda item or topic, I'll take questions on that topic specifically. Okay. Does that sound good with everyone? All right.
Yep.
I guess the other questions. So I'm going to start fresh with a blank slate, pretty much. And so anyone that's sitting at a computer with Finale open, you'll probably get more out of this than just listening to me. So you're welcome to have your machines with Finale open. So all right, I'm going to jump right into site layout. All right, so that's a little cheaty right there. So let's just do new show. I'm gonna have my positions unlocked, and I'm just going to delete all these positions. We're just do a total blank slate. And one of the I'm gonna do a pseudo blank slate. I'm gonna grab blueprints because I would get lost if I don't have my blueprints. Another show. So this is how I name all of my reports, labels, whatever it is. I put a dash and then my initials are PMS, so that I could find what I created amongst all the default stuff. So I could just type PMS and it filters to my various things. See, there's addressing, there's a layout diagram, there's parts layouts, which is your effect file, script labels, script layout, script reports. So all those things I have. I'm going to just Control All, Control A, Control C for copy. And then I'm just going to go into this new show and paste all that stuff. That's the way I do it. You can, what we talked about in the show producer meeting, you could set up in user settings, save show as startup template. And then that way, whenever you open Finale, it grabs all these blueprints and um, other aspects of a show, like show information. And it looks like I have a startup template. That's what it came up with. I'm actually going to I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Save as startup template. So now whenever I start up, I'm going to get these blueprints and I'm going to get a basic 5-position show, where it has a 5-position front line and a 5-position aerial, or whatever you want to use that for. And it looks like I'm defaulting to Pyro Digital. But for the purpose of this class, I'm going to delete all these positions. So I unlocked the positions in this design window, and then I'm holding Shift and just using my mouse to draw a box over everything and deleting those. The first thing I'm going to do before I even add positions is go into scenery and ground images and set to Google Map. This will make it so that your show is like at real distances. And as of a couple months ago, you could do plot plans with the Finale3D. So that you could end up saving steps to grabbing pictures off, saving a screenshot of a picture on Google with the circle drawn and yada yada, and then going into Visio. So this will speed that up. So it's asking for coordinates. Don't let that trick you, because I could type Rady Shell, which is what we're going to use in San Diego, and it'll get there. All right, so I'm going to hit it. It's put Origin Man sort of in the middle of the shell. I'm going to put Origin Man. I'm just dragging along this map here. Put Origin Man in the house somewhere here. And then I'm going to hit download 2D map image. All right, so now you can see on the design window that map is there. I'm going to hit OK. I could have downloaded 3D map models. I tried that earlier, but it wasn't very useful, meaning that the site that we're working on wasn't 3D. It just put all the hotels that are north of this picture. Those were modeled. 3D models are just going to eat up a lot of memory, and so they're, unless you're got the model for the building you're using, it's not worth doing 3D. But there are a handful of locations where I do have the 3D model, and then it can be useful. Rose Bowl Stadium's one, Petco Park's another. I have the 3D model for Dodger Stadium. Those of you that are doing Space Needle, I'm sure there's models for Space Needle, and that would be a model you would probably want to have in 3D because of where you're putting the Pyro. Yeah, I have a 3D model of Hollywood Bowl, which you'll probably see at some point. So the next thing I'm going to do is sort of like orient ourselves. This is done where like north is true north here, and Origin Man's just kind of looking the wrong way. And the way I'm going to do that is clicking this circle here, the rotate circle, which also is hotkey R. And I'm going to rotate to, how the audience would view this display. And then I'm going to right click on that circle and go set as front view. And now Origin Man is looking at us. And all the positions that I drop down, or if I want to put positions in a line, it'll do it relative to this view. Otherwise, it would have done it relative to the former view. All right, so I'm going to add some positions. So positions, add positions. And I need like 6 of them or so. Positions, 6. And I could put these in a line, but I gotta actually move them where they need to go. So I'm gonna rename these. I right click, so again, I'm holding shift and just drawing a box. I can also hold shift and click on the positions. Takes a little more targeting, but in this case, I'm drawing a box. I'm gonna right click and hit rename. And these will be stage left. Move those over here. We're gonna do something with those in a sec, and then I'm gonna name these stage right. Well, and then I'm gonna put these where they go in real world. So that's stage right 1, stage right 2. So we have there's these towers in the this facility that we put product on. And there we go. Stage left 1, stage left 2, stage left 3. Another position I always like to have is called I had this here. This is my own workflow. I call it 0 notes. And that's where I put everything in Finale needs to go somewhere. Like it can't just be at a non-position. So that's my like position to put notes. I put the 0 in front of notes because I want it to sort the way I look at the script. I want it to be the first thing in and how it chunks up the script. And you'll see that in action. All right, then I need, in this case, a couple more positions here. Add 3 more positions. Rift. So we do scissor lifts in the back, and I just name them funny based on whether they're stage left or stage right. So stage left one's named lift, stage right one's named rift, and the middle one's named myth. All right, so and that's our normal setup for this site, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm also going to put a barge out here in the water. So I'm gonna add more positions. I'm gonna add 5. And I'm gonna rename them like A for Ariel. Down the water. Save in case we crash. And then I'm going to add another few positions in the house here. One of the questions that was asked of me was to show how to do G-flames. So I'm going to add some positions in the house, and they're going to be for G-flames. That's 6 there. Rename to G. And then I'm gonna make a grid. Positions, arrange into pattern grid. And let's say 50 feet. And then I'm actually gonna want the flames to go kind of vertical up and down these aisles. So I'm gonna right click on the positions and do rotate around the up vector. There's an arrow here I can grab and rotate. You'll notice that the arrow where the fireworks are pointing got rotated too. That would be important if we're shooting fireworks, because that's the, where the tilt and things go off of, like your actual angles if you're angling comets. But since we're doing G-flames, I'm just going to let that be. But see these arrows? You want to orient those the way, the pointed audience would be one way of describing a typical show. Which you could see all my other arrows are doing that. They're pointing at the audience. Okay. Now I've made a show site. I'm gonna add a couple products here and there so you can see the follow zone. Well, I'm gonna make some groups. I'm gonna make this a group. These towers, I'm gonna make those a group. So I've highlighted all those positions. I'm gonna hit this little plus key here, and now I have that in a group. It's 6 positions. I'm gonna put the flames in a group, and I'll put the lifts in a group, and I'll put the aerial in a group here. I'll put some shells in position A3 real quick. So I put one shell there, 3-inch shell. If I go to rack and do rack window, you can see a red safety zone for the 3-inch shell there. I've gone through and updated the safety distances for nearly every product in the library. Shells are accurate. Most single shots I just put at 15 feet so that if you're doing a theatrical show, you could convince that. Cakes are at about 84 feet. You'll want more if you have an angled cake, but I got it to where you could start using this to make flat plans. So I will put some comets in those towers. So you guys can see. I'm hitting H after I put a bunch in to make a sequence. I'm just going to separate them by 1 second each. All right, and if we go back to window and go to racks window, you'll now see 15-foot circles around the towers here, okay? When we're done with this meeting, I'm going to put these on Dropbox to share, because one example is I already have a report under diagram called fireworks plot plan. And I will show you how to make that real cool. That's on the racks window. And the wheel cog, you can create a new diagram template, pick between rack layout or site layout. In this case, it's a site layout. With sometimes, like, I found you want more than automatic. You might want, automatic plus 200%. I could show you what anyway, I'm gonna save that. So then now under diagram, you'll see that test, fireworks plot plan test. And it'll make a PDF. I'll drag that over. So I did 200%. That looks like it's way too big. Obviously, that's not very useful to send to a fire department. So tease around with what's the right sizing. Let me see what happens if I do my default here. A little better. And you could add site notes.
You know the percentage you used on that?
We'll look at it. So we're gonna do edit. This is my plot plan. That was 50%. Okay. Okay, so up here where it says site layout diagram text, that's where you could put the information that appears on the right panel. You know, blah, you know, barge in the water with aerial shuttle or something. I did this recently for a show at the Coliseum where we had fireworks and then sparks, and so I had two different text boxes. Flames in house. I'll make that report again, and you'll see those. You see those notes over there, right? All right, so that is the end of the topic site layout and plot plan creation. Does anyone have some questions on that? And then I'm going to move on to some scripting. I'm going to copy some positions to get it into the place where I already have. Getting these flames and barge positions copied over to my other project that I already have stuff done. Positions are locked, that's fine. Okay, so before I actually start scripting, I'm gonna get a little funky here. Because we have we're gonna do a mixture. Obviously, the G flame's got to be Galaxis, and I'll do the towers like PD, where it'll go to the F pin, but I'll do the aerial where it'll only go to the E pin, and I'll make some of these position Cobra and some of these position Power Digital. So when we get to addressing, you'll see the different flow. Okay, so going back to this racks window. And I'm gonna just start with G1 here. And I should be able to do the properties. What if I'm on G1 here? G1. What do I do? Properties. All right, I just right-clicked in this window, edit position properties. So this is where I can make this a Galaxis G flame. Okay, and instead of going to all the different positions and doing that, I'm gonna go to the positions window and cut and paste. See where it says module or slat type? I'm gonna cut and paste that through. my G positions here. Okay. Remember my default firing system's Pyro digital right now. And window racks window. Position A3. Do position properties. Hard digital. Right now you see you can pick between 16 and 15 pin. I'm going to pick 15 pin because it's going to be aerial. Those of you that have addressed PD before know why we're doing that. It's because our racks are in pods of 15, really. And if I go back to the positions window, I will do the same for those positions. And for the lifts and the towers, it's just going to default to what I've put in the show, which is a 16 pin starting from 0, 1. Okay. And then just for shits and giggles, I'm going to make A3 Cobra. Okay. All right, so let me see if does my audio come through to you guys? All right.
Yep.
So I'm going to leave this show design here that's there. That's really just going to be useful for addressing. But I'm going to put some sequences in here. And that's like basically got the template here is just your standard like EDM. I've chunked it out into 4 bar segments here. Every 4 bars there's something gets added, and then eventually it accelerates to a drop.
Is there something playing, or are we just watching the bar here?
I'm just playing it right now. All right, I just played that segment. All right.
Paul, we can hear your
So then
you-
your audio did not, if that was your question.
Yeah. We can hear you speaking, but we can't hear the audio from your computer.
All right. Let's see here. I know there's a way to pass it through. There we go. There it is. All right, so you get the gist. It accelerates, the beat accelerates. Standard 4/4 beat, which most pop music's done that way. And so nearly everything you get from that you make yourself or the client will make, most often 90% of the time, that's going to be like a 4/4 time signature. And why does that matter to you? Okay, because you could cut and paste and study the work you've done before into other shows and just like what I'm gonna show here is stretching time. Cutting, pasting, and stretching time, so you can take work you've done before, especially if the site is the same, and you come up with a nice scene, and you're like, I was gonna cut and paste that, and it just, but it needs to fit into a different time sequence, so. So. So there's gonna be, those are 4-bar chunks, so I'm gonna do 16 shots and I'm gonna line it up on the beat. So for G Flames, I have made my own parts in my effects, which again is a library that syncs to yourself. Let me see if we can. That's the description that I use to make the flame. That's just the VDL, that's just the visual. But the other things that are important here are duration, because that's going to be the real duration. And that type is SFX. And you can see I have a part number for, looks like 8, up to 8 different durations of G Flame. And that's sort of how Galaxis takes the cues anyway. It's like Q1 is, you know, open up for 0.3 seconds, or, you know, it's a duration and delay, or Q duration delay, or commands to G Flame. So again, I said 16. It'll look funny when I. That's 6. I should have taken 8 positions. This is gonna be funny. So I'm highlighting all those, and I want to make a sequence. I could hit H and pick the sequence, but I'm just gonna stretch this a little right now by grabbing that little bracket there. Oh, that's just stretching the direction. I do need to make a sequence first. All right, so I hit H. You could make the sequence in one of 2 ways. You could do it by total duration or the interval. In this case, I'm going to do 0.5 seconds. And now I got a sequence of flames. So that's 6. I'm hitting, so that I've selected all those, and I'm going to copy and paste. So now I got 12. And I need, what, 4 more to get to 16. Now I have 16, and I want it to go with the beat. It's not going to go with the beat right now. This next cue I have blocked out here, which I will call it a note. Keep it there. So this is where I put my notes. So I position, clicked on notes. I'm going to pop a note right in there. And then I could write something about it like, okay, downbeat. Now, if I select that part that's got the downbeat, that note, and I hit shift and selected all those, I'm going to hit H again, and it's automatically going to make the separation on the beats because it's going to divide equally. Now this should all hit the beat. Let me show you the sequence. Now I'm going to take this 16 beat or 16 shot sequence, and I'm going to pop it into another show with a different tempo. which I have over here.
Diario van los bailes y se compra una botella. Diario
Putting notes there, sorry. Okay. So you can see that this was longer than the sequence or than the little chunk. And that's when I'm going to show you the stretch here. So now I can grab this bracket with these things selected and shrink it so that it's just on the other side of that note. And then I'm going to grab all of these again, making sure I'm grabbing that book in there. So I actually have 17 selected. It should, and it tells me that in the design window here, selected 17. All right, hit H again. And it's going to chunk that up. And then if we watch this sequence, it should go with the beat here.
la historia de una famosa persona. Todos la conocen con el apodo de Chona. Todos la conocen con el apodo de Chona.
Everyone with me?
Yes, sir.
Do you have questions or want me to do something again? Is this useful?
So you figured out the beat based on the measure. You split it into 4/4s, and
Yeah.
then you used the time distance from the first 4/4 to the next.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't like look at the oscillation or any of the like musical. You
No,
just
I
chose
can't.
it. You listened to it and you captured those note cues on the beginning of each measure.
Yeah,
4/4 measure. Is
I'll
that
do
right?
one. Yeah, so
Bailes y se compra una botella. Se arranca la banda con la primera canción. Y la chona luego busca bailador. Y la chona luego busca bailador.
so I just made that segment right there that I know is four bar segments, you know.
Or at least very close to it.
Well then I'm I could if I
Y
miss
la
it,
chona luego busca.
seems like I didn't
Y la
sometimes you
chona
miss it, but you can just scroll in and see where you are on the waveform and take the Eric Tucker rule. Earlier is better if I had to slide it slightly to the left. But you could see that transient, right? That's the beat.
Yeah. Okay.
Y la chona luego.
All right. I picked the 4/4 like 4 bars because 16, you know, you could think of it as like, oh, there's 16 pins on PD, there's 16 beats, there's the other thing, the music I'm working with for New Year's Eve is all got a backbeat to it, even if it's like Enter Sandman or there's like Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline, but it's like the EDM version of that song. And again, EDM stuff is incredibly formulaic. I mean, it literally is formulaic. It's like, okay, so I'm gonna it's the changes are at that 16 bars, sometimes at 32, and I'm doing an indoor show, so I'm basically I have tiny stuff to shoot. I don't have aerial shells to carry time, so the beats are the most important thing for me in this you know instance. Additionally, I guess when you're like shooting one shots, you're probably hitting beats. And so
Yeah, I typically historically have used 8s, so 4/2. And I think if it's aerial shells and you're doing like the standard pop song,
yeah,
that works well. But I think what you're doing makes more sense if you're to do 4/4s.
yeah. I mean, if you're shooting the fireworks, that's chewing up money, and so I would probably half it and do 8 shots in that same 4 bar segment.
Yeah.
In the case of shooting G flames, you're, you know, just burning some gas. So But I'm actually gonna add some sequences of one shots just to help with our addressing. But I don't even know if I'm gonna do it musically. Basically going to deliberately acknowledge that I know what I want to mount. So in this case, it's going to be Ricasa fan. I'm going to put one shots in Ricasa fan. That's my prop. So I know the constraints of that prop. So let's just do a bunch of blue comments here. So what do we have? 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll hit a fan. So I made 7 blue comments there at that position. I'm gonna hit F for fan. The angle interval on a Ricasa prop is 15. I should show tilt here. All right, so the column I'm always looking at is tilt. I don't put, angle is not a very useful column. Angle's more of a descriptive column than an actual where the device is going to go. Can I show a difference there? It's taking up more room. In this case, the convention matches. If the convention was different, angles and tilt might not line up. They might not match. So for me, I just don't ever look at angle. It's tilt. All right, so that made a fan. And I want to cut and paste that to the other position over here. It's gonna drop it in on whatever's highlighted. So if you want to cut and paste the same sequence in all the different positions, you want to not have a position highlighted. In that case, I wanted to copy it into another position. But if I want to pop this sequence in again with both these positions, I'm going to come over here and have nothing checked. Because if I had these two checked, it should drop it in there, right? And I could put them over here too. And then I could cut and, well, I'll leave those as fans. Yeah, all right. And let's make some sequences here. Sequence.
Dance the night away. My heart could be burning, but you.
Because I made that a fan by hitting F, I don't think it's letting me make a sequence by hitting H. So I'm just going to script flights, make flight into sequence. And this one I'll go right to left. Can I? Yeah, left to right. Oh, and then I can reverse order. All right. So left to right. I could have selected reverse order, but another thing that reverses the order is M while it's selected. So that's right. This should be. Do the same here. Make a flight into the script. So there's no hotkey for this, or you would see me using a hotkey. This is how come I know where this is. Make flight into sequence, left to right. And then we'll do that here. Make flight into sequence and reverse order. So you can, and again, if I wanted that, so I just hit shift and block boxed again. If I want that sequence to be longer, I grab that bracket. Make it really long if I want. Now I'm gonna add some aerial shells into the barge positions just for some addressing purposes. So. All right, so I'm gonna add a whole bunch of crap. So I'm gonna do script, add, insert multiple effects. Let's see, I sold 2 Pyro packs, so 64 inch shells, all right? That was done at 2 seconds apart.
Where it began, I can't begin to know. Who'd have believed it come?
What would that have done divided by 5? Only 12 shells per position, right? So I'm gonna cut and paste that a few times so that we get too many more racks. That's we're doing. You just added 300 3-inch shells all at one time. Should be in there somewhere. Oh, it didn't do any, did it? Oh, did I not have it highlighted? There we go. And then I want some finale. Keyboard light is broke. No C. Oh, this is annoying.
Fin works, Paul. Every time I type fin, I get finale.
This is gonna be an interesting rest of the demo if I can't type. All right. Alrighty then. Well. So we get 9 6-inch. Over because I changed counting as 1. There, I picked one with the.
Did everybody see that admin setting about the chains where Paul went to? Just when you're making your scripts and setting up your show, just observe some of those fields. But that one was chains count as one
Yeah.
and then
And you can see used as 5 when I just hit it once. So before I add any more finale, we typically spread our finale like into a fan. So I do flights are changed into fans. Now that I've done that and it shoots, you can see here that it's doing a fan. So, and then there's 5 chains in like a rack sequence there. So I got 5 chains, and I'm gonna put them here as well. So, all right, and let's do some 5s in the middle. Three, 6, 9. Let's do it again. Oh. Let's start over by making fans. Lights, make light into chains. Copy, paste that. That's 9. I'll have 18 in the show. Then I should add a bunch of shells to really mess this up. I'm gonna do a funky number like 91 5-inch shells. All right. Okay. I've added a bunch of stuff. We're gonna get into rack layout and addressing. Before I do that, does anyone have questions?
I have a comment. I'm totally kindergarten compared to this stuff. Holy smokes.
Well, like I said, I'll put this on Dropbox and you can look at it, you know, and that way you also have my blueprints if they're effective to, you know, use for yourself.
Yeah, no, I've learned some things to apply that I like, that I can do the positioning, the grouping that we did in the beginning, all that. That's all new to me. So I can definitely use that for my stuff. And it's like, wow, this is really a lot of stuff.
yeah, the inserting multiple effects is great when you're doing our random, shows, and you could put all of your 3s, 4s, 5s, or whatever's on your work order in one time, like Paul did, with no interval, and you can random it, stretch it, and do whatever you want. And just
Yeah.
pretty slick and quick, man.
No, it's opened up a lot more of the window to me. It was like, wow, there's I can really see the design of this. It's crazy.
Maximize our script window.
Doing a really huge show, there's not much difference in show in terms of time it takes, if you want to your specific commercial season, and that's still there, but there's a lot of cool tricks to make it a lot better than show direct.
Okay. I have at the front end of this an actual show I shot at the beginning of December. And those addresses are locked. You can see that in rail and pin, that lock symbol. I'm gonna unlock the addresses. So lock is L and unlock is Shift L, but I'm gonna highlight everything. So Shift L, if I wanted to lock addresses, I mean, there's already address there, I just hit L. Shift L unlocks. You may say to yourself, why do I want to lock and unlock? You might be just doing addressing in an iterative manner. And say you like get your aerial stuff done first and you're happy with that, and you gotta fiddle around with like a front line or something. You'll lock your aerial and then not lock something else. Or in the case of this, like when I do the first algorithm pass, like I'll lock the G flames because that's gonna there's no sense in continuing to readdress those. I don't know if there's any address. Oh, so before I address, even before I do racks, I'm gonna go to positions window. And then you may find yourself living in a shotgun shack. No. And you may find yourself wanting to fix what module each position starts with. Otherwise, the algorithm will start at 0, 1 and just go until it runs out. And I don't find that's very useful on a show site as a technician. I kind of want position 1 maybe starts with 1, 0 and goes to 1F, and 2 goes to 2, 0 to 2F, so on and so forth. So, and then, you should, or at least know that, Galactus and PD, they're going to be different universes, so it doesn't matter if they're the same module. And so I'm just going to start with the Galactus. I got 6 G flames, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now I know that it'll make that device ID 1 through 6, and that'll line up with the position. We're probably going to run into some addressing errors if I just let this fly, because I put a whole bunch of aerial, like lots of aerial. But what would be my normal thing? Let's call this 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0. And this is going to be a mess. I let it air out.
Here's the universe, Paul. Wouldn't you be okay?
Yeah, universe. I don't want to introduce the universe yet. But yes, splitting these into different universes, which you would anyway, right? The barge is not on land. That would be just its own, like on different wiring. So I would, consider making, the barge its own universe. I'm just going to delete these for now and let the addresses fall where they may. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is add racks for the show. I believe all of the racks that we have are in our library, so I don't want to use the defaults here. So I'll do a 3-inch, 5 po, 4-inch. These are our racks. Right. All right. Already a bunch of racks that were on this one. Right, add racks for show. Go back to this. So for the 2-inch, I'm going to use Bon Jovi props, because that's going to be 1 shot. 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch. So I'd add all these racks. Why is that important? That'll help clean how you do your, clean up how you do your addresses. So addressing, I'm not gonna do any blueprints right now. So what I like to do, important part is this part 3, your constraints. It's probably logical that you want modules restricted to a single position. You know, you're not gonna wanna wire position 2, zip it all the way as, you know, position 1. If you don't put that constraint there, it'll address it that way though. And then the other thing I pick is rack cluster. And with the racks as they're showing right now, that like this entire line is a cluster, considered a cluster. So right now, this entire group of 5-inch racks is gonna be a cluster. And at some point, you'll probably want to clean that up. Well, I'll show you how to do that, especially as it relates to like Finale. You can see that it goes an angle. So these 2 racks are going to the left, and then everything in the middle is going straight up, and then the 2 on the right are going to the right. And at some point, we're going to want to get our Finale out of that mess. Let me address show. I usually do 5 E-matches per pin. If you only do 1 E-match per pin, that means it's going to give an address for pairs, like, or a single address for a pair or a triple. So, and actually, I'm going to go up to 7 because I think I had some 7-way fans in this. Yeah. The order of assignment, how it's sorted, that's personal preference. You can see I have it by position, then angles, then single shots, then part number. You could also do and then like firing, like where it, you know, event time. So I do have a position with an error. I don't know why yet. I'll have to investigate that. It's it miffed. But I want to clean up some stuff first. All right, so the 5-inch. I'm gonna get the Finale out of this mess. So then I highlighted all the 5-inch, and I'm gonna right click and do rearrange racks based on addresses. And now I got this Finale over by itself, all nice and clean. And I'll probably just highlight it and get it out. Because it's also, you can see that the Finale's on module 30, and so are these other 18 shells. And like I said, my constraint was on rack cluster. So by just moving that out of there, it made that a new cluster, even ever so slightly. There's a snap to you can hear going on. If I just move this slightly up, that's enough to be a different rack cluster. I picked Cobra to make this interesting here because Cobra ends up dropping on, you know, there's 18 in a module. And so now you get this rack with 2 different modules. The way that I tend to combat this is I'll use a 36M and burn a pin. So that would be 7 racks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's pull that out a little. Okay. That'll get its own module. I think we have 3-inch over here. Yeah, do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just pull it out a little. Then we're going to address again. You can see this was 30 now, and these were both 30 at one point, but now it's 30 and 38. The 5-inch, because they're in 18s, have a nice clean break every 18 shells. The 4-inch, where we'll use a 36M here, goes to 17 on the second module. Same thing with the 3-inch here. You know, this is unique to Cobra. I'll show some other positions that we did PD. PD won't have that mess, right? It's like every 3 racks is what you want it to be. It's ending at E because we specified that module to only use 15 pins. But our finale is kind of janky here, so I'm gonna box this and right click and rearrange based on addresses. You may want to build it that way, but you probably don't. So we'll pull the finale out of this little chunk. Do the same over here. Rearrange racks based on addresses. Get the finale out. I'm gonna add this again, so you can see this is pretty iterative. Right, but now I'm happy with my aerial, so I'm gonna lock those and go figure out where these other I'm gonna script and I'm picking the A position.
Show that again. Sorry. Can you show the aerial rack layout and so we can see all the all the corrections, how they fell into place?
Yeah, so on A4 and A2, I was dealing with the finale. So I got the finale grouped and then I pulled it out of the main cluster. So the finale is gonna have its own module. This is, you know, as a nuanced thing, I'm also not being very economic with my uses of modules here. You might have to, you know, depending on the constraint of a show, you might have to be a little more economical. Like I'm just burning modules willy-nilly here. Yeah. But you'll see your 4-inch aerial gets just a nice clean 0 through echo, 0 through echo, 0 through echo. Same thing with your 5-inch. And your 5 finale chains are here. And that'll be mimicked on A2. And then A3 was our Cobra position. Again, I pulled the finale out. It has its own module. Again, 5s and 6s and 8s are pretty clean with Cobra because you can get to 18. And then, like I said, I'll if I'm doing a Cobra aerial, I'll tend to use 36 M's for my 3-inch and 4-inch clusters and cluster in 7. And then I'm just burning a pin, 1 pin out of 36. And oftentimes what I'll do, and I'll do that manually, is then put a cake on that pin. If I'm needing to be economical about using modules or addresses. You know, tend to have to on the 4th of July. If it's not 4th of July, then I'll, you know, the cakes will just be on their own module kind of thing. Okay. So I'm going to the script and I'm going to pick positions a aerial. And I'm going to lock them. So Control A, L. And I'm going to do the same for the G flames. No sense in re-addressing those two. Readdress. It's only going to do address the ones that aren't locked, but I wanted to see where our problem is. Our problem area is miffed. I don't know why, but I'll have a look. Unracked clean burst. Tri-flares, okay. So I go to position miffed. And filter for clean burst. I don't know if I need to sleeve it or put it in another, like a Ricasa fan or something. $38, 6, 640. I just add a rack. So I'm on MIFT. And I could add a rack over here. I just added a Ricasa fan. See, that does the trick. All right, that solved our problem. All right, so we have a cleanly address show. What I didn't show you guys, that's how I'm gonna do that, probably, is addressing blueprints. You could just call this add blueprint, blah, blah, blah. And that is an addressing blueprint. And how would I? Over here with your different positions, you could assign them different addressing blueprints. So go to my blueprints window. So we got these various addressing blueprints. So I could do the name, just go to the name, Control C, copy, go to the positions window, and the positions I want to use that with, just paste. And you may find that you know, let me give it, I'll give a real example. Let me open up a Hollywood Bowl show.
And Paul, you got 15 minutes left, so just looking at your pacing,
Yeah, let's close the
determine where you
last
want to
topic.
close out.
Yeah, so.
Good.
Probably 2 more minutes on addressing, and we'll things locked. I can see. All right, if I go to my positions window, you'll see that there's 4 different addressing schemes here. There are different blueprints. So I have different positions here. So these D positions are what we call sun deck. And it is a very fixed custom prop where I have two 5-inch mortars, two 4-inch mortars, some 3-inch mortars straight up, some 3-inch mortars at an angle, some 2-inch mortars at an angle, like a specific angle, in this case -30. And the same as that, this is a candle rack. In the case of this prop, the candle rack is really just a piece of wood that we could tie candles to. But so this whole group gets its own special way of addressing, and then our scaffolds have also special special props where, and the modules remain fixed. We don't like redial modules. So there's 4 modules here, and 1-0 is always cakes, and 1-1 is always cake slabs, and 1-2 is this custom. So this is basically a Ricasa slab, but it's custom made, has bigger, more angles. And then there's these custom racks where we have some 3-inch mortars and 2-inch mortars all grouped together at various angles. Then we have the arch that I just do by time, because I really don't care how that gets addressed. And I will show you scaffs here too, because to get that modules constraint on the scaffs, I fill out this custom script field. So I'll do like position custom script field, and you can see like the scaff 1 goes cake, 0 cake, 1 slab, 2 slider, 3 mortar. That's the 0 1-0-0 is cakes, 1-1-0 would be cake slab, 1-2-0 is the Ricasa slider. So when I address this, I go addressing blueprints, address show using blueprints assigned to positions. And I could, we could see like what's different between those. Okay, so here's the scaffold one. So each module is restricted to a position and a custom script field. So that's how I break that down. I want it ordered that way by position name, custom script field, then type, then size, then angle, then event time, as opposed to the sun deck might be slightly different. Address, edit. So that just goes, I want the candle to be 0 or 1 or whatever. So that's why candles are first, and then it's by size and then by event time. So the 5-inch mortar will get the highest address. And there's one more example where the arch is like pretty agnostic, where it's just by time.
Gene Evans is rolling over in his grave multiple times. Holy smokes. It's awesome.
Okay. So if you got a show site that, you use regularly, and that your aerial is going to have its own addressing schema and the low line is going to have its own addressing schema, you just make blueprints, and then you assign those blueprints to the positions. And when you go to address, you go address show using blueprints assigned to positions. Another blueprint I have is Dodgers. It's like the same every time. And so I could address the entire show with that blueprint, and it'll ignore that the position was 1. So there's Dodgers. All right, that completes all my topics with 10 minutes left. Questions on addressing? All right, then you get 10 minutes of Ask Me Anything. Anyone have a unique question they want to go over?
I had on addressing, back to that. So the warehouse, when I do mine and do shells, I do mine a little bit differently. I just go by the positions, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I just click on each one of those, and I sort them at the top So it's alphabetically, is that right? I would assume that's right. So they're packing it right out
Yeah, I
of
mean, based on how they end up laying out like the magazine,
yeah.
that's the best way to address. And so if you know ahead of time, like, okay, well, all the FOA cakes or the cakes themselves are by part number, then you would
Yeah.
add just like by part number.
Can you show us real quick or you have something
Yeah.
built that
Let me just go back to the
maybe, and I'm kind of thinking of Marco maybe and not the pulling part, and he may have.
So in this case, it is part. I mean, this one has angles, so let's forget about that. Let's just reset this. You definitely want to keep it, by position, but then you can do part number and then like event time. So if you have the same part number, the address is the one shoots first. And there's plenty of magazines that's the layout, like M11. So the one shots are laid out by part number. The cakes in B1 are laid out by part number, but you are right, like the way
But part number, that's not alphabetical.
no, that's rat, that's like, yeah, but what you're talking about is like for the shells in a pick mag, so you'll go position name and then description. And that'll put do it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a different way of doing it. What I do is, like I said, I do the position, and then it highlights every shell, the color, green peony, blue peony, and then I hit the top, boom, and then it sorts them all out so I can physically look at each one. But you're saying this
Well,
way.
this is the sort right here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
How are these
got it.
sorted? Yeah.
Yep, that's new. That's newer to me then. Okay, cool.
So the way you're addressing, that is the sequence you'd put here: position, description, and then I added event time just to have the lowest address fire before the next. If you have 5 blue peonies, it'll put by doing the event time, it'll put 0 will be the first one fired, and you'll be able to tell which one fires first in the show.
Yeah, and see, I sort mine that way too. Like my cake positions were 4th of July, the first cake's burning, it's upwind of everything else, so it burns. The last one burns first, so when the wind's blowing, it's not blowing on a line of cakes where you have, constraints. So that is very helpful. So yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks for attending today and being attentive, and I hope everyone walks away with at least one thing. Do you want to do a round the house, Mary, and see what people's takeaways are, or we're just gonna Merry Christmas and go on our way? Oh, did we lose Mary?
He's frozen.
He might have stepped away. Well, I'll just conduct this anyway.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did get frozen for a minute there. So great job. I would say to close it out, Paul, just real quick, ask people when they would want to have another session and what they would want it to focus on, or is this good for the next 3 months, 6 months? Like, where are people at and what do they need from here?
Okay, that's fair. Oh, and then also, I was gonna add, what's your takeaway from today? Did you take any,
Great.
learn anything that you might find useful? All right, you're the first on my screen, Jeff. So what is your takeaways from today, and do you feel that you want another one of these, and what frequently? If yes, when?
Oh, it was good. Like I said, I learned some different stuff on the grouping, unlocking, locking, copying position. I mean, that's always it just helpful to the more I use it, the little bit better I get at my shows. Thank God I don't have a gigantic Hollywood Bowl or all those like that, but for 4th of July, I'll concentrate more on trying to do that rack layout. That's my next kind of goal, is to switch over into racks, because I'm still using my old Visio, like you were saying, for time wise, it's time consuming, but I have all the templates already made for shows that I have seasonally during the year. So it makes sense now to just transfer those over and do it. But I will learn that. That will be my next big thing, is to do the racks layouts and use it. And there's just so many ways to skin a cat on seeing all this. It's like, wow, it's crazy. So it's exciting to see it. So thank you. I'm done.
Again, I'll put these up on Dropbox, and one of my blueprints is for addressing 4th of July pinboard shows. Aaron, same questions.
I think just adding in some of the, like, copying the positions, copying pasting product, that's kind of what's most beneficial to me to see. Especially when it comes to like my 4th of July shows, where I know every 50 cues has maybe like 33-inch and 24-inch or whatever on it. You can just set it up and copy them per rail, kind of, as I do. So I got that. I think that helped and stuff.
And then what I do on the 4th of July is that's when I really take advantage of that stretch and shrink stuff to like try to make it seem like the show isn't just a shell every 3 seconds. Like, oh, go up between each song, and then each song will get a little different spacing. Bye, Mary. Thanks. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, great job.
Is
See you
there
in the new year.
Happy New Year, happy holidays.
Thanks, everybody.
Is there a desire to have more of these?
Yeah, I think continuing
Yes.
to learn is valuable on it. You're at a higher level than most of us, obviously, so kind of learning the things that you've kind of discovered on your own.
Yes. I think if there's a consensus of yes, you'd like some more training, I think that what it makes most sense for me to do is just do an email that says what are the topics, because I don't know what else to go over at this point. Yeah.
Will you send an email that has the Dropbox link?
Yes.
Thank you.
Matt, you
Yep.
got anything?
I think I got the need for the blueprint to save tons and tons of time. I've gotten good, or at least fast, using like manual addressing. But when I'm addressing a San Francisco Bard show, it's just like all the other San Francisco Bard shows. So there's no reason why that can't just be already exist and just address it with an existing blueprint. In that way, maybe it's just going through an old show to create the blueprint and then applying it to the next one. And then of course, working on Oracle Park, it's all the same positions, kind of similar actually to what you're doing at the San Diego position, where it's
Another thing I
just
do,
creating it
like,
once.
that could apply for your Bard show, or it definitely applies to my Dodger shows, is like I make the finale its own position, even though it's technically going to be set up in the same, so position 1 has also F1, and then that way it's just like keeping these addresses and these racks away from the main body of the shell. It just organizes it better.
Yeah, I usually call it, I do left, center, right, and then I call it L fin, R fin, C fin.
And then if you're selling the shows similarly, which it should be easy to do, like, oh, I'm going to take 2 cases of 3-inch and a case of 4-inch and whatever 5-inch, then those positions copy and paste very well between shows, because it's like, oh, I'm not reinventing finales. I might put different colors in them, but the racks are the same and the layout's the same and the addresses end up being the same, that kind of concept. So
yeah.
What about you, Marco?
Well, now that, oh, wait, am I? frozen.
We hear you and see you fine here.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My main thing, especially now that I'll be doing some baseball shows, uh, is the templates, the blueprints, because I want to make my life as easy as possible. But I mean, every ounce of what you showed us today is a new thing that is a, you know, that I'll probably just be coming back and referring to the videos to kind of pick something up along the way. I would love to get the 2D uh you know, drawings of, or not the drawings, but you know, the 2D images of any site as a tool in the future to, you know, like put a show together for someone and say, this is what I can do for you, you know, something like that, where you could just show them the video and, you know, they'll have an idea of what it's going to look like. I think that'd be an awesome tool. But yeah, so everything I'm just soaking up and hope to just practice doing stuff when just to kind of teach myself as well.
And then basically I learned by doing also. I mean, I got 10 hours with Drew and then hundreds of hours just doing the work. Eric, I know you're pretty new to this.
Oh yeah, I'm very new to this, and it kind of reminds me of when I was learning AutoCAD. It's very I realize now that, boy, I really needed to just sit down and just, like you said, just spend 100 hours just playing around with it. Because you know, I don't know any of the shortcuts. I don't know any of it really. So as far as I'm concerned, this is all brand new. But it's really cool to see like how, like, you know, what level you can then get to if you just spend the time doing it. So I'm excited. I can't wait to really dig into it.
All right. And Pat, last.
Well, you know, the using the addressing parameters was difficult for me. I had been doing the same as Matt, using the sort of the finale, or not the old show director method, and filling down addresses. So learning those parameters is helpful, and I just need to practice it and then set up blueprints. It'll be a big time saver for
What's
sure.
funny for me is I didn't even know you could do the show director fill down method until like a year plus into doing Finale.
Well,
And
I was
and
the
I'm
other way.
probably better off for it.
Yeah.
But I
Because-
will say that it probably took 6 months or more to not have somebody on the crew go, what the fuck? With like just like 3 addresses in this position and what, like, why is that way? And so then it's like, oh shit, I gotta trick the algorithm. You know, it's like, because the computer
Yeah,
just
one of the
goes-
first shows that I had to do was an A's show, and I had to, you know, struggled with trying to get it to auto address, not knowing that you could manually address it. And then you know, I talked to Matt and he told me, look, you can just do it the old way. So that has saved me. But now I've got a reason to look at this and have it make a little bit of sense. So
All right.
yeah, definitely want to look at the videos again, because you go a little fast, so that way I can pause it and follow along easier.